So anyways, thanks, Haroon. I think we're on the same page. Definitely a lot of commonalities between what you said and what I'm going to say. So this is what the vision for an NFU post-COVID-19 food and agriculture system is. Basically what food sovereignty looks like. The global pandemic has not only revealed how our food system's vulnerability, who it serves and who it exploits, it has truly demonstrated how globally connected we have become. The virus traveled around the world on a network of human relationships in a matter of months, causing near universal disruption and uncertainty that continues. The massive government and civil society response to the pandemic also shows that it is possible to harness recovery efforts to start building a food system in the public interest according to our needs and values. However, whether that change goes in the direction we want is not guaranteed. We have to be involved at every level to build a road that will take us towards our vision. During the first lockdown this spring, I put together an NFU vision for a post-COVID food and agriculture system. It is a framework that brings together the elements of NFU policy and values and shows how they support each other. The vision statement can be used like a holistic goal, a guide for decision-making and advocacy at all levels. A vision can inspire and guide action, help us to see a way through dark times, and build meaning and solidarity. It helps keep our destination in mind, even when the journey takes unexpected twists and turns. If we get stuck or face obstacles that feel overwhelming. It also helps us see our individual efforts as part of something bigger. We each have our own passions and priorities. There is room for all of us here. Focusing on a part of the vision that you care most about does not take away from others. It makes the whole richer and more meaningful and stronger. The vision was published in the July issue of the NFU newsletter and is posted on the NFU website. We also highlighted key points in a social media campaign using the roadmap graphics developed by our NFU interns. Today, I just want to talk about a few highlights and then talk about some of the challenges we face and the tools we could use in bringing this vision closer to reality. In the question and answer session, I'm sure we'll have a lively discussion about all of this. So first, the basics. You could say the table stakes. Ecological health, social justice, and economic viability. So we need to have sustainability, security, and stability of our food supply. And this is accomplished through redundancy, resiliency, and having buffering capacity within the system. We need democratic decision-making, fair incomes for both food providers and consumers, gender equity, anti-racism and decolonization, international solidarity, and climate action. And all of this needs to be built upon a strong foundation. And that includes access to land and security of tenure, seed sovereignty, livestock diversity, effective market power, access to processing, storage, distribution, and transportation, intergenerational transfer of knowledge, and ecosystem health. These are necessary to support a vibrant ethos of agriculture that will nourish the larger community culturally as well as physically. Okay, I'm going to back up. So one of the uses or purposes of a vision is to help us keep in mind what we are fighting for, that it is possible and it is worth fighting for. The powerful continually invest in convincing people that how things are is how they must be, that what we take for normal is both necessary and inevitable, that there is nothing we can do about it, that the pandemic, climate change, the farm income crisis, and injustice are natural outcomes of uncontrollable forces and not the result of policies and structures that have been put in place to benefit the powerful. For at least 35 years, industrialized countries like Canada have embraced globalization and neoliberalism to justify reducing the size and scope and power of government to create more space and opportunity for corporations to operate without restraint. Globalization, put into action through trade agreements, concentrates the power and wealth of multinational corporations. Governments pass austerity budgets, claiming they cannot afford to fund public purposes, but by failing to collect taxes from the powerful, they offload the costs of keeping society operating onto the rest of us, including vulnerable people, women, rural and remote communities, ecosystems, the atmosphere, oceans, and future generations. We feel the injustice of these losses. There is fear, anger, fatigue, and despair. We increasingly see these very real and legitimate emotions channeled into dangerous polarization and rage through social media algorithms and trolls. When people fight with each other, they do not threaten the powerful. On a larger scale, growth, debt, and trade are offered as the answers to societal, economic, and social justice problems. In reality, these are false solutions, distractions to avoid looking at the real problems, and safety valves to weaken pressure for real change. So, first of all, let's look at growth. It's said, if the pie keeps getting bigger, everyone can have more. A rising tide lifts all boats. Growth is how our normal system sidesteps unfair distribution of wealth and income. Growth accelerates inequality. It promises more for all, but some get vastly more than their fair share, and others have less than they need, who have less than they need are further dispossessed. Growth is celebrated, yet we are on a finite planet. Our ecosystem cannot continue expanding, our economic system cannot continue expanding forever. Debt, it's a demand on the future. Debt creates an obligation on tomorrow, expecting future growth to pay for what we cannot afford today. It is optimism married to power. Some debt is legitimate, such as credit need to pay for long-term productive assets, but the exponential increase of farm debt and consumer debt means the financial sector is mining our future, moving wealth from those who owe to those who own, putting an unfair burden on children and future generations who have no say in or benefit from what today's credit has purchased. And trade. More and more freer trade is promoted as the answer to national economic problems. Every country will be a winner, none will lose. We just need to find new markets, sign another trade deal. With more trade, access to new markets, we will all sell more and get richer. Yet the desperate chase after global competitiveness drives commodity prices down and drains wealth from the countryside. And unfettered trade promotes volatility in markets, currency exchange rates, and international politics. And this acts like a pump that moves money uphill, concentrating wealth and power in ever larger corporations. Growth, debt, and trade distract us from the dysfunction of our normal system, that our normal system reproduces daily, throwing farmers into debt and off the land, driving towards the next pandemic and accelerating climate change. There is no alternative, said Maggie Thatcher. And yes, there is, say us. We will need to propose, invent, develop, revise, build, and create new institutions, laws, policies, programs, and trade agreements and regulations that put real limits on the powerful corporations that are laying the groundwork for their post-COVID vision of pandemic-justified surveillance, data mining, automation, and digitization. Oops, and that's what this slide was about. So, what are we going to do about it? Dare we talk about a food system based on non-growth, where there are more and younger farmers, production aims to meet human need, and food is nutritious and affordable for all, and the ecosystem is healthy? As individual farmers, we can lead by example, test techniques and ideas, invent new tools, and share our knowledge. We can speak up, express solidarity, and bridge divides. As farmers working together, we can build community, we can be active in our democracies at every level, building problem-solving experience, and showing the value of public engagement in decision-making. As farmers, we can also work on defending, improving, and rebuilding the institutions of food sovereignty, such as supply management, the Canadian Grain Commission, our public interest regulatory system, farmers markets, food hubs, orderly marketing systems like the Wheat Board, and producer and consumer cooperatives. We can also invent and build new institutions to answer today's questions. The NFU is calling for a Canadian Farm Resilience Administration to do research and extension to support transition to climate-friendly agriculture. In Prince Edward Island, the NFU is calling for a land bank to make farmland available to young family farmers. The NFU has proposed land and quota trusts that would allow older farmers to retire with dignity and let young farmers set up without crushing debt. The Nobel Prize winning economist Elinor Ostrom has shown how users of commons organize themselves to sustainably govern their shared resource. In Japan, housewives and farmers created a powerful cooperative that served their food quality and fair income needs, respectively. We can also work in the political realm as farmers and with allies in other sectors to reduce the influence of corporations on governments. We can rein in the big corporations that take up too much space in our food system. The big meat packers, retailer chains, farmland investment companies, seed, grain trading, and agrochemical corporations. We can confront the oppressive institutions of colonization and mechanisms of white supremacy. We can push for a regulatory system that uses the precautionary principle to safeguard human health and the air, water, biodiversity, and land that are our heritage and our legacy. We can work in solidarity with farmers in other countries to bring about new international trading relations based on food sovereignty that promote the fair trade of agricultural products without impinging on democratic governance, that drive equity, diversity, and resilience among trading partners. A vision is a starting place, an ideal, a motivator, and a touchstone, as well as a goal. When we have a vision, we lead.